What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So Lucid went down 5.9% on Friday. I want to give you a good overview of why, what the data points are currently saying. In addition to that, though, a lot of people are still very much hung up on the 1,400 in deliveries in Q2 that they did announce, and why that might not necessarily be the case. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So I've already covered this in a video, how they did 2,173 vehicles as far as production, 1,400 in deliveries, which is a little bit more of a 180. Even myself, I did anticipate around 2,800 in deliveries, around 2,500 in production. So oddly enough, I did feel that there was going to be a higher amount of deliveries, because even in Q2, Lucid has said numerous times that they are kicking off the bulk of their deliveries, or international shipments more specifically, during that time frame. But yet we see this 1,400. So a lot of people are now speculating, saying that just the demand isn't there, and that obviously that is the worst case scenario, but still it's very much could be the writing on the wall. But in my opinion, I do feel that one thing that isn't really represented in this number is just the fact that it is very clear that they do say in Q2 they're going to be doing the shipments, not necessarily the deliveries. So I do feel that in Q2 they did do a very big bulk of the sitting cars that's been at the AMP facility for almost 6 months, possibly longer. But I do feel that a lot of that actually has been shipped outside of the States, whether it be to Europe, Saudi Arabia, or wherever. But I do feel that a lot of that actually hasn't been delivered to the true customer, that most likely a lot of that is going to be occurring during Q3. So these numbers are a little bit lower, whereas I think Q3 might be maybe 3 times as much for the deliveries. My own just thoughts on that, especially to piggyback that idea though, there was this that was posted, several people brought this up, but just a lot of the reservations in Saudi Arabia are going for 5 times the cost, initial cost, and they wouldn't be doing that if obviously there was deliveries, right? So I think in reality, it is kind of piecing together. We'll have to wait until the Q2 earnings, which I guess is right here. So on August the 7th at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. And maybe that might be a valid question to potentially ask as well on July 24th when they do open up the polls. Say, what exactly did happen? Was there a significant amount of the actual international shipments where they delivered or whatnot, because they do really need to break this down for investors. But again, let me know you guys' thoughts on that in the comments below. Outside of that though, like I mentioned on how it did go down 5.9% on Friday, I want to break it down why it did and what the data points are currently saying, because for the most part on the technicals based on Friday, it just completely broke down. It did break below the 50-day moving average, and as well did transition from the higher to the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. So a little bit more of a negative when it comes down to the technicals. But there was a lot of the bank earnings that did come out on Friday, which were fairly positive. And we are back at it now within the economy, that if there is good data that is coming out, it is a negative, which is very flawed. I can't wait until just that is done and over with. But the fact that a lot of these banks did signal that they were making a ton of money, a lot of progress, that just once again leads to Powell having a little bit more additional ammunition to raise the rates, because keep in mind he does want to raise rates 2 additional times, most likely this year. So that's something you need to factor in. That's what the market does not clearly want, and this is what prompted this sell-off right here, and then it bounced off, trended higher, and now it is starting to resurge. So it is once again back at that earnings season, especially Lucid as well is going to be incorporated in all that, and a lot of the other big banks, big companies, and so forth. But I think that is going to cause a lot of volatility. But still, beside the point though, I want to go over some additional data points, including this. So it does look like Vanguard itself did increase 10% in their position for Lucid. So they do have 58 million shares of Lucid. So pretty significant, if you ask me. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. But the fact that a lot of institutions are still seeing pretty good value in Lucid is definitely a very good thing. But over and above that, as far as options activity on this very much red day, so this 5.9%, it does look like there was $3.4 million in calls being purchased versus 1.86 million in puts. So based on this, which of course is just a sentiment, options activity does not move the stock price, but based on this, it is anticipating for it to go up. So kind of justifying that this is an overreaction, which in my opinion, I do feel that it is, because I actually did buy twice on Friday on two separate accounts. One at, I think it was $6.72, the other one being at $6.90. So I do feel that this is, like I said, a little bit more of an overreaction, and this data does justify that. As well, it looks like big money did very much buy this dip as well. So again, let me know you guys' thoughts. Majority of these though are buys, some sells though, so this 5.72 million is the sell. You can tell that based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. So for instance, 670 was the bid, so 670 was the price it went for. So again, let me know you guys' thoughts. But quickly going back to the options activity for a second, based on the call, so the bullish viewpoint on Lucid, it is anticipated to go back into the sevens, so between the 7 to 750 range by next week. So again, just to be aware that. But based on this option chain right here, it is anticipated to go around the $8 range after their earnings. So clearly a lot of bullishness in regards to that. But I do feel what has been happening over the last little bit for it to pull back is kind of healthy. And what I mean by that is, looking at stochastic, it was very much overbought. So it does need to cool off and reset, similar to this downtrend that did happen here, because like I mentioned with Powell. So it is currently at 52, a little bit more of a bearish sentiment right now. But despite that though, you do see a lot of retail presence still getting in based on the momentum indicator. So it's very interesting to see at the same time, like I've mentioned in the past, retail and also institutions are buying at the same time, which is kind of rare. But quickly going over here, looking at some of the fib levels. So with it being at $6.70, it is trading between the P and the R1. So $6.51 is that very big support for Lucid, and $7.17, which coincidentally kind of bounced off of as far as the high, that is the next big resistance. So those are the 2 points that you need to watch for. But like I mentioned, looking on the actual chart though, it is breaking down because it did get below the 50-day moving average. And we already do know what that 50-day moving average truly does mean for Lucid. That is the make it or break it point for Lucid. But I could be wrong. You never know, right? As far as this, I do feel that there would have been a lot more analysts to really jump on board for Lucid, either in a positive or negative way, after they did unveil their Q2 numbers. But surprisingly, it looks like there was just one, and that was Citibank, who did reiterate their hold rating, $8 target. And it's not necessarily the best analyst, because he does only have a 45% success rating. So only one analyst, I don't know, maybe Lucid is losing favorability among analysts. Who knows? Let me know you guys' thoughts on that in the comments below. As time does get closer to the actual earnings as well, I'll be starting to give you guys forecasts on updates on exactly what analysts are doing, whether they're upping their estimates, lowering them. I'll go over all of that. On a side note, if you're looking for a lot of this good information, click on the link in the description below, or also the comments, to Interactive Brokers. All of this information is very much free. The ownership, analyst ratings, forecasts, short selling, everything under the sun. So make sure you guys click on the link and check that out. But over and above that, one final thing I just wanted to cover with you is shorts. Shorts have been a pain for a while, and they still most likely will continue to. But short score is currently 74, utilization is 73.66%. As far as what shorts did on Friday, they did increase 899,000 shares, which of course is a little bit different of a viewpoint based on the options activity, which options activity, like I said, is signaling that's an overreaction. But based on what shorts are doing, they see it as very much justified and think that it is going to continue to trend down. 20.41% of the free float is being shorted, which works out to be 166.91 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 1.14% as well. And still, there is signs of manipulation, because you can see cost to borrow minimum being negative 0.2%, meaning there is a broker out there physically paying people 0.2% to short Lucid. So once again, let me know you guys' thoughts on all of this. Give yourself a shout out if you have been buying over the last couple days, or if you sold. What is your take, for instance, on all of that? If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Couple days left for this promo. It is a complete no-brainer. Link in the description below and also the comments. Sign up for a free account, you get one free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Deposit $100, you get 5 free stocks plus $100 cash reward. So this legitimately is a win win-win. With that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.